The title, Future's Present, actually came from Bertrand Piccard, and he was talking about a recent flight he had took to test a solar flight, and he was kind of describing his feeling of coming back from that, and he described the landing as going back to the past, sort of thinking about everything that brought him to that moment and testing that flight and the technologies and kind of looking at what our current technologies are and where technology could take us. So I just thought that was a really interesting way to describe kind of the present, but also looking at the future and what that might look like, and sort of using the information we have now, using the technology we have available to us to explore. And so I was thinking about, how are artists doing that same thing? Are artists using these technologies to explore the topic of climate change or just global change in general? And I just found it really interesting because you've got kind of a range of artists who are using, quite, I guess in our minds, sort of lo-fi, low-tech things. And then you've got the kind of other extreme where somebody like the artist Van McElwee is using augmented reality in their work and really testing the possibilities of that and kind of using Laumeier as a platform for that. So what I was really interested in is like how artists kind of play. They're sort of playing and exploring, but they're also talking about and addressing issues around the climate and our environment and our role in that. Another artist in the show that you'll see is Elias Sime. He's an artist based in Ethiopia, and he makes work with tech waste, where he'll kind of grab these different parts of old computers, keyboards, wiring, things like that, and he'll sort of weave them and turn them into these kind of 2D landscapes, creating kind of beautiful object out of what would be our trash. We've got another artist, Daniel Kanagar, who's based between Madrid and Los Angeles, and his work is looking at the different climate accords. So the way that people will view this work is it's split into 4 cities and referencing different climate accords that were signed in those cities. And what he's interested in is how text is treated in a way that it's almost meaningless. So he's relating that to the wind and sort of taking text from these climate accords and translating them and using that data and turning them into these kind of visual, kind of moving pieces.
I am an artist and I live in New Orleans, and in my work I'm thinking a lot about global warming and what it's like to live in this time, the historical legacies that got us there, and then how to collectively imagine a different future. My materials are really rooted in thinking about that history. This drawing is made from a combination of sugarcane, which was the staple chattel slavery crop. This is thinking about how people and environment have been exploited and extracted from over history, and then the paper is combined with shredded plastic. So a lot of former plantations are now petrochemical facilities. So really with paper making, using water to combine the sugarcane and the plastic into one sort of hybrid material that bridges that history to this current reality of how the environment and people are being exploited.
We all have a role to play, and even if it's just the smallest thing that we do to kind of change in our, in our everyday sort of individual lives, I think, then I think it would be a success.